The clock on Zara Loomis's computer screen read 6:47 p.m. Her eyes burned from reviewing contracts for the past 11 hours straight. Her shoulders ached with tension she'd been carrying for 3 years, ever since she'd accepted this position as executive assistant to Damien Cross, founder and CEO of Cross Global Enterprises. Beneath the skin tone modifier on her wrist, her natural violet skin remained hidden. Zara had come to Earth from the planet Etheria to study human workplace hierarchies and power dynamics. Her people had evolved beyond such inefficient systems centuries ago, and the Etherian Institute wanted to understand why humans clung to them. What Zara hadn't anticipated was Damien Cross himself. At 36, he was a legend, a self-made billionaire who'd built an empire from nothing. Magazines called him a visionary. Business schools studied his strategies. But Zara knew a different Damien Cross. The man who criticized font sizes on presentations. Who called her at midnight for trivial tasks. Who never said please or thank you. Who treated her like an extremely well-paid servant rather than a professional. His office door opened, and heavy footsteps approached. Zara tensed instinctively, her hands stilling on her keyboard. The Morrison Report. His voice was deep and commanding, the kind that expected immediate obedience. On your desk since 4, Mr. Cross. Along with the quarterly projections and the revised Asian expansion budget. Damien made a non-committal sound. Zara finally looked up. He was devastatingly handsome in a way that seemed almost designed to intimidate, tall and broad-shouldered, dark hair perfectly styled, piercing gray eyes that missed nothing, jawline that could cut glass. His expensive suit looked like armor. I need you in early tomorrow. 6 a.m. Zara's stomach dropped. Tomorrow is Saturday, Mr. Cross. I requested it off 3 months ago. You approved the leave. Plans change. He crossed his arms. The Chun deal is accelerating. If we don't have the complete proposal by Monday morning, we lose a $200 million contract. I understand the urgency, but tomorrow is my sister's wedding. I'm the maid of honor. Maya has been planning this for over a year, then I suggest you explain to your sister that your career takes priority. His expression was granite. Be here at 6. Don't be late. He turned to walk back to his office, something inside Zara snapped. Maybe it was 3 years of accumulated resentment. Maybe it was the thought of missing Maya's wedding after everything her sister had been through. Maybe it was simply that she'd finally reached her breaking point. No. The word came out stronger than she'd expected. Damien stopped mid-step, then slowly turned around. His eyebrows raised, the only indication of his surprise. Excuse me? Zara stood, her hands trembling but her voice steady. I said no. I'm not coming in tomorrow. You approved my leave. I have plans that cannot be changed. My family needs me. Your family? He said the word like it tasted bitter. I pay you a 6-figure salary, Zara. I pay for your health insurance, your retirement, your comfortable life. That money comes with expectations. Expectations, yes. Slavery, no. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I work 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I've canceled vacations, missed birthdays, skipped holidays. I've rearranged my entire life around your schedule for 3 years. But I am not missing my sister's wedding because you can't plan ahead properly. The office had gone completely silent. The few remaining employees were pretending not to listen, but Zara could feel their attention like a physical weight. Damien's jaw tightened. He took a step closer, his voice dropping to dangerous quiet. You're being insubordinate. I'm being human. Something you might try occasionally. His eyes flashed with something, anger, shock, maybe even hurt. If you're not here tomorrow at 6 a.m., don't bother coming back Monday. The ultimatum hung between them. Zara felt her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. This was it. The moment where she either backed down like she always did, or finally stood up for herself, she reached for her purse. Her movements were deliberate and calm despite the chaos in her mind. She unplugged her phone charger, closed her laptop, gathered the few personal items on her desk, a photo of her and Maya, a coffee mug from home, a small succulent that had somehow survived despite the lack of sunlight. "What do you think you're doing?" Damien's voice had an edge now, something that might have been uncertainty. "I'm leaving." Zara met his eyes directly. "You gave me a choice. Obey or leave." "I choose to leave." She stood, slinging her purse over her shoulder. Her legs felt like water, but she forced them to move. One step toward the elevator. Then another. "Zara." The way he said her name made her pause. Not the barked command she was used to, but something else. Almost pleading. "You can't just walk out." She turned to face him one last time. "Yes, I can. I just did. For 3 years, I've been the best assistant you've ever had. I've made your life easier in 1,000 ways you don't even notice. I've anticipated your needs, fixed your mistakes, covered for your terrible people skills. And not once have you treated me like I matter. Not once have you seen me as anything more than a tool for your convenience. That's not. It is true. And I'm done. I'm done being invisible. I'm done being unappreciated. I'm done with you." Zara turned and walked toward the elevator. She pressed the call button, watching the numbers descend. 15, 10. 5. Behind her, she heard rapid footsteps. The elevator dinged, doors sliding open. Zara stepped forward, but Damien was suddenly there, his body blocking the elevator entrance, his hand pressed against the door frame, preventing her from entering. "Move, Mr. Cross." "No." His chest was heaving, his eyes wild with something she'd never seen before. "I can't. I can't let you leave. You don't have a choice. I love you." The words exploded from him, raw and desperate. "God help me, Zara, I love you. I have for years. And I'm terrified that if you get in that elevator, I'll never see you again." Zara froze, her whole world tilting. "What?" Damien's hand was still braced against the door frame, his body still blocking her path, but now he looked less like a boss issuing commands and more like a man coming apart at the seams. "I've been in love with you since the day you walked into my office 3 years ago," he said, his voice breaking. "And I've been a complete bastard to you because I didn't know what else to do with these feelings." The elevator doors tried to close, bumped against his arm, and opened again with an annoyed beep. Neither of them moved. "Get your hand off that door," Zara said, her voice shaking. "This is manipulation. This is me being honest for the first time in 3 years." Damien didn't move. "You're right about everything. I've been terrible to you. Cruel. Unfair. But it was self-preservation, Zara. Every time you smiled, every time you walked into my office, every time you handed me coffee exactly how I like it without being asked, I fell deeper. And it terrified me. So you decided to make my life miserable instead? I decided to keep you at arm's length. To maintain professional distance. To pretend you were just an employee so I wouldn't have to face what I felt." His gray eyes were raw with emotion. "But watching you walk away just now, I realized I'd rather risk everything than let you disappear from my life." Zara's mind was spinning. Her modifier was flickering with the surge of emotions, something that hadn't happened since her early days on Earth. "You're my boss. This is a massive abuse of power. I know. I know it is. And if you still want to leave, I won't stop you. But Zara, please," his voice cracked. "Please don't go without knowing the truth. I've been in hell for 3 years, loving you and pushing you away, treating you badly because I couldn't bear how much I needed you. You have a terrible way of showing love. I know. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. I'm realizing I'm spectacularly bad at this. The elevator beeped again, more insistently. This time, Damien stepped back, lowering his arm. If you want to go, go. I won't stop you. But if there's any part of you that feels anything for me, even just curiosity about what we could be, stay. Please stay. Zara looked at him, really looked at him, and saw past the CEO armor to the vulnerable man underneath. She saw the fear in his eyes, the hope, the desperate love he'd been hiding. She should leave. Should protect herself. Should follow every logical protocol her Etherean training had instilled. Instead, she let the elevator doors close without her. You're an idiot, she said quietly. Damien's face transformed with relief. I know. You've made my life hell for 3 years. I know. And now you expect me to just, what? Fall into your arms because you finally decided to be honest? No. He took a cautious step closer. I expect you to make me work for it. To make me prove I can be better. To make me earn every moment of your time and attention. But Zara, his hand reached for hers, trembling slightly. Give me the chance to try. She should pull away. But when his fingers touched hers, warmth flooded through her entire body. Her modifier flickered again, more noticeably this time. Damien's eyes widened. Did your skin just shimmer? Zara's heart stopped. Trick of the light. No. It did it again. He was staring at her wrist where the modifier was barely holding. She made a decision. If they were going to have honesty, it needed to be complete honesty. Zara deactivated her modifier. The change rippled across her body, her skin shifting from human beige to luminous violet. Her features remained the same, but now her true nature was undeniable. Damien stumbled backward, his face cycling through shock, disbelief, and wonder. What? How? I'm not human. Zara's voice was steady despite her racing heart. I'm Etherean. From a planet called Etheria. I came here to study human workplace dynamics for my people's research institute. You're alien. An actual alien. Yes. And you've been working for me for 3 years, studying me? Studying human hierarchies, yes. But Damien, she took a step toward him, her violet skin glowing softly in the office lights. I never meant to care about you. My people don't do emotions. We evolved past them. But somewhere between your terrible coffee orders and your midnight demands and the way you look when you think no one's watching, I fell in love with you too. Damien stared at her for a long moment. Then he moved, closing the distance between them in 2 strides. His hands cupped her violet face, his thumbs tracing her cheekbones. You're purple. Very observant. An alien. Also correct. And you love me? Against all logic and training, yes. He kissed her then, fierce and desperate and full of 3 years of denied want. Zara melted into him, her hands fisting in his expensive suit, her body pressing against his. This was what humans called passion, what her people had supposedly evolved beyond. It was messy and overwhelming and absolutely perfect. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Damien rested his forehead against hers. I don't care what you are. Human, alien, whatever. I love you, Zara. Every violet, brilliant, stubborn inch of you. Your office has security cameras, Zara whispered. I don't care. Your employees are probably still watching. Let them watch. He kissed her again, slower this time, more tender. I'm done hiding. Done pretending. Done being the cold bastard who pushes away the only person who matters. You're still going to be a terrible boss. Probably. But maybe now I'll have a reason to be better. They stood in the empty office, wrapped in each other, as the city lights twinkled through the windows. Neither noticed the security guard who'd witnessed everything, already texting his wife about the most dramatic scene he'd ever seen at Cross Global. Tomorrow would bring complications, questions, consequences, the harsh reality of their different worlds. But tonight, Damian Cross and Zara Loomis chose each other. And that was enough. 2 months passed in a haze of secret meetings and stolen moments. At work, Zara and Damian maintained careful professionalism. But after hours, in his penthouse or her small apartment, they explored this impossible love that defied species and logic. "I need to tell you something," Zara said one evening, curled against Damian on his couch. "My research assignment ends in 3 months. The Aetherian Institute expects me to return home with my findings." Damian's arms tightened around her. "Then don't go back. It's not that simple. My people. Your people aren't here. I am." He tilted her chin up to meet his eyes. "Stay with me. We'll figure out the details. I'll hire lawyers, scientists, whoever we need. But Zara, I'm not losing you." She wanted to believe it could be that easy. But she knew complications were coming. They arrived the next morning in the form of Richard Sterling, Cross Global's largest investor and board member. He walked into Damian's office without knocking, his face grim. "We need to talk. Privately." Damian glanced at Zara. "Anything you can say to me, you can say in front of my chief of staff." "Very well." Sterling dropped a folder on the desk. "I know about your relationship with Miss Loomis. I know you've been involved for 2 months. And I know she's not human." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "How?" Zara started. "I have security contacts. They flagged the unusual biological readings from the building's new biometric scanners." Sterling's expression was cold. "Your secret is out, Cross. And unless you handle this immediately, I'm taking it to the full board." "Handle what, exactly?" Damian's voice was dangerous. "End the relationship. Terminate Miss Loomis. Return to focusing on the company instead of this inappropriate liaison with an alien entity. Get out of my office. I'm serious, Cross. If this gets out, if the media discovers you're romantically involved with an extraterrestrial, it'll destroy the company. Investors will panic. Clients will flee. Everything you've built will crumble. Then let it crumble." Sterling's eyes widened. "You can't be serious." "I'm absolutely serious." Damian stood, his presence filling the room. "Zara matters more to me than this company, than money, than my reputation. If loving her costs me everything, then I'll pay that price gladly. The board won't allow it. They'll force you out. Let them try." After Sterling left, Zara turned to Damian with tears in her eyes. "You can't sacrifice everything for me. Watch me." But the threats escalated quickly. By the end of the week, Sterling had rallied other board members. They demanded Damian choose, end the relationship and maintain control of his company, or continue and face a vote of no confidence. Zara made her own decision. She packed her things and left Damian a note: "I won't be the reason you lose everything you've built. I love you too much for that. Z." She deactivated her phone, found a small apartment across the city, and prepared to leave Earth early. It was the only way to protect him. But 3 days later, Damian held a press conference that shocked the world. Damian stood before cameras and reporters, his expression resolute. "I called this press conference to make several announcements. First, I'm publicly acknowledging my relationship with Zara Loomis. Second, I'm announcing that Zara is Aetherian, an extraterrestrial researcher who came to Earth peacefully to study our civilization." The room erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. But Damian continued, his voice steady. "Third, I'm announcing my resignation as CEO of Cross Global Enterprises, effective immediately. The board has made it clear they won't support my choice to be with Zara. So I'm making a different choice. I choose love over power. I choose her over everything. He looked directly into the camera. Zara, if you're watching this, come home. Please come home. Zara watched from her small apartment, tears streaming down her violet face. Her communicator buzzed with a message from the Etherian Institute, recall notice. Emotional contamination detected. Return immediately for reprogramming. She had two choices, return home and forget Damien, or stay and accept permanent exile. Zara chose exile. Part 5. She found Damien outside her apartment, surrounded by reporters and curious onlookers. When he saw her, violet skin exposed, no longer hiding, his face transformed with joy and relief. You came, he said, pushing through the crowd to reach her. You gave up your company for me. I'd give up everything for you. I did give up everything. He dropped to one knee right there, in front of the cameras and the world. Zara Loomis, will you marry me? Yes, she sobbed. Yes, you ridiculous human. Yes. They married a month later in a small ceremony. Damien built a new company focused on Earth-Etherian relations and cultural exchange. Zara's permanent exile meant she could never return home, but in Damien's arms, she'd found a better home than she'd ever known. A year later, their daughter was born, the first human-Etherian hybrid. She had Damien's gray eyes and Zara's violet skin that shimmered when she laughed. Any regrets? Damien asked one night, holding both his girls. None, Zara whispered, watching their daughter sleep. You're worth every world I left behind. And in that moment, wrapped in love that had survived ultimatums, threats, and the distance between planets, they proved that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to bow. And sometimes the greatest rewards come when you choose to walk away. Until someone loves you enough to block the door and fight for you.